Welcome to Face Islam, the program dealing with the subjects that face Muslims every day. In today's program, I want to talk about a word, Al-Khamr. What am I talking about? Alcohol. And we've spoken about this in previous programs, but from another perspective, I want to mention something about this, the reasoning behind this. Alcohol, drugs, anything that will get you high, all right, or make you forget about this world. Some of our programs we spoke about the thoughtlessness, the heedlessness that people get into, and we talked about some of the attitudes people have. Well, alcohol and drugs help a person have this attitude, this ghafla of forgetting everything. Also, in one of our programs, we spoke about the subject of insan, or human beings, being related to the word in Arabic to forget. And that's exactly the problem we have. We forget, and then we get involved in these other things. We want to have fun. We want to have fun experiences. We want to forget about this world. We just want to party hardy Marty. I know. After all, I've been around a long time and seen a lot of stuff. And Islam has given us an answer to this. To stay away from these things. But exactly what, where, why, and how? Our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, came with the words of Almighty Allah, the speech of God Himself. It's not something He made up. This isn't something that came along after His time and people added to or took away from it. This is God's speech in the Arabic language, in the Quran. And in it, He clearly told us not to indulge in alcohol or gambling. That in them is a lot of evil. You might find some benefit, but this evil outweighs any benefit you're going to find. We mentioned that in one of our programs, but I want to put it in perspective now, exactly what it is. And it's because it causes us to be inebriated, to have this false sense of security, this false sense of, being in so much control and party hardy, as we mentioned. And all of that comes together out of our mind not working properly now. And how much really is too much? Because some people will say, we can just drink a little bit, just a little bit, or just take a little bit of drugs. And of course, it always leads to more and more and more. An addiction. Even smoking cigarettes, people get a little something out of that, including addiction. People get addicted. And anything that will cause you to be addicted to it is forbidden in Islam. Whatever inebriates in large amounts is forbidden, even in small amounts. So a little bit of alcohol is still forbidden, haram. A little bit of drugs is still forbidden, haram. And a little bit of smoking cigarettes or shisha, all of these things in large amounts do have a tendency to change the attitude, the mental condition, the stability in the brain. Therefore, that inebriation in large amount means it's also forbidden in the small amount. So these things that I'm talking about now are all on the no-way list. Stay away from it. Now, some people will say, well, you know what? I agree with you, but I have a doctor's prescription. The doctor's told me that I should have a little bit of wine, every day, or a little bit of beer every day for my stomach, for this problem or that problem. And, I'm not really a drinker, but I do that. Or I take this kind of drug and that kind of drug only because it's prescribed for me, even though it says clearly on the box that it can cause you to be unstable to the extent don't drive after you have taken the medicine. Well, that's pretty serious. Well, I can't drive. Why? Well, because you're inebriated. That's why. And people have gone to the extent to drive even under the condition that they've had these drugs that they've taken, prescription drugs, and have accidents, and then be in trouble for that. Because they said, well, you were inebriated. And I thought you're not supposed to do this, but I have a doctor's prescription. How does that work? In some cases, I'm sure that that is true, that we would have to do what the doctor says, but I would like for you to check with a Muslim doctor who's familiar with this and see if there's some alternatives that you could perhaps find instead of this. It would be better for all of us, all the way around, if you're not inebriated, and certainly if you don't have to take something that's been forbidden by Islam. But if it is something that's necessary, doctors say, yeah, he really needs it, they know what they're talking about, and there's no alternative, well, then we have to do what we have to do, because that becomes darura. That means something that is a necessity. We've talked about that before, some necessity beyond something normal, and so for that, Allah has His ruqsa. He gives a concession for that, so that you're able to endure and get through the life in the best way possible. But do try to remember this one rule. If it intoxicates in large amounts, then you must abstain from it even in small amounts. And by the way, that includes staying out of the room where somebody's also smoking, if you can. That's the subject for today, and that's Face Islam.